Welcome to the School of the Lost Tribes. Your charity helps generate the lessons needed to seal the chosen before the destruction. Revelation 21 verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. Explanation. This verse opens a vision of a complete transformation of creation. The Apostle John sees a new heaven and a new earth, a phrase which reflects not simply a repaired or renovated version of the old, but a completely new order, replacing the first. This passage marks the transition from the judgment and destruction of Babylon and the beast system, which had dominion over the nations, to the establishment of a new divine order. For those interpreting the scriptures through the lens of exclusive Israelite doctrine, this renewal is the culmination of the restoration of Israel, particularly the lost tribes of the northern kingdom. Here's how. The new heaven and new earth corresponds to the promised restoration seen in prophets like Isaiah 65:17 and Isaiah 66:22, which were always spoken to Israel, not to Gentile nations. These prophecies were about national renewal, justice, and peace under divine governance. The phrase, "no more sea," often carries symbolic weight. In prophetic literature, the sea frequently represents the Gentile nations, unstable, raging, and separate from Yahweh's chosen people, e.g., Daniel 7:2-3. Thus, the absence of the sea may signify the removal of the Gentile dominion and the end of separation between the scattered Israelites and their God. The passing away of the first heaven and earth connects with the end of the old order, both the corrupted world system and the former relationship status of Israel being estranged due to disobedience. The new heaven and earth signify not a universal paradise for all races, but a renewed covenant realm where the redeemed of Israel, from both the house of Judah and the house of Israel, are gathered and restored as one people, under one king, Yeshua. This ties directly with the promise of a new covenant found in Jeremiah 31:31 and quoted in Hebrews 8:8, where the covenant is made specifically with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, not with all mankind. Revelation 21 verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem. John sees not a random city or a symbolic church, but the holy city, New Jerusalem. This is not the earthly city of old, which had become spiritually corrupt, Revelation 11:8. This New Jerusalem represents the restored and redeemed house of Israel, now purified and reestablished under divine rule. In Galatians 4:26, Paul refers to Jerusalem, which is above, which is the mother of us all, speaking of the anointed Israelite body, not all nations. This is Israel restored, clean, lawful, and no longer defiled by idolatry or Gentile customs, coming down from God out of heaven. This shows divine origin and authority. The New Jerusalem is not man-made, not the work of earthly religion or nations. It is Yahweh's kingdom descending, his divine rule being established on earth among his people. This reflects prophecies such as Isaiah 2:2-3, where the law goes forth from Zion and the word from Jerusalem. It is a heavenly administration, now taking visible material form among redeemed Israel, not a spiritualized Gentile congregation. Prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. This is covenantal language. The bride is not a multiracial church, but Israel, Yahweh's long-promised wife, Isaiah 54:5, Hosea 2:19-20. She had been divorced, Jeremiah 3:8, because of unfaithfulness, but now, after repentance and cleansing, she is reunited with her husband, Yahweh, in the person of the Messiah. Compare with Revelation 19:7. The marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. This is the scattered lost tribes, once lost among the nations, now regathered and presented as a restored bride, adorned, cleansed, and in covenant once again. Revelation 21:3. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of Yahweh is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Yahweh himself shall be with them, and be their God. Line by line breakdown. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, John hears a commanding voice from above, a voice of divine declaration. This is the voice of authority, revealing that a historic covenantal shift has come. The presence of Yahweh is now openly among his people. This is not just a spiritual experience. It marks the fulfillment of long-standing promises made only to Israel, particularly to the scattered northern kingdom, who are now regathered and reconciled. Behold, the tabernacle of Yahweh is with men. This refers to the visible presence of Yahweh, now established among his covenant nation. The tabernacle symbolizes his dwelling place, once confined to a tent or temple, now made permanent among the redeemed of Israel. These men are not mankind in general. They are the elect men of Israel, the descendants of Jacob, the only people to whom Yahweh ever said, I will be your God, and you will be my people. Exodus 6:7. Leviticus 26:11-12. Ezekiel 37:26-27. And he will dwell with them. Yahweh is now permanently dwelling with his people, not through prophets or shadows, but personally and directly. This is the realization of the new covenant, as promised in Jeremiah 31:31-34, where Yahweh speaks of writing his law into the hearts of the house of Israel and the house of Judah. It is only through the work of Yeshua, the appointed Redeemer of Israel, Luke 1:68-74, that this dwelling is made possible. Yeshua's sacrifice restores the broken covenant and prepares the people for this intimate presence of Yahweh, and they shall be his people. This confirms the unchanged covenant identity. They are Israelites, those who were scattered, divorced, and without hope. Ezekiel 36:19, Hosea 1:9-10, but now redeemed and restored to their status as Yahweh's people. This phrase is never used universally. It is specific to the children of Israel throughout all Scripture. Gentile nations are never declared Yahweh's people in covenant terms, and Yahweh himself shall be with them and be their God. This is the climax of restoration. No longer separated by sin, distance, or exile, Israel is now fully rejoined to their Elohim. The relationship is reestablished, not through a priesthood, but through Yeshua's completed work. Hebrews 8:6, Hebrews 9:15, which was done on behalf of his people, Matthew 1:21. This moment completes what began in the wilderness and was broken through disobedience, Yahweh, dwelling again in the midst of Israel as always intended. Revelation 21:4. And Yahweh shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Line by line breakdown. And Yahweh shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. This is a personal, intimate act from Yahweh, a father reconciling with his children. He is not simply reigning from afar, but is among his people, removing the sorrow they've carried for generations, the grief of exile, slavery, oppression, and being cut off. This promise is rooted in Isaiah 25:8, which speaks directly to Israel. He will swallow up death in victory, and the Lord Yahweh will wipe away tears from off all faces. The ones whose tears are being wiped away are the Israelites, especially the lost sheep, who have endured punishment under the curses of Deuteronomy 28. The healing is now here. The affliction has ended, and there shall be no more death. This is not a promise to mankind as a whole, but to the redeemed house of Israel. In Hosea 13:14, Yahweh declares, I will ransom them from the power of the grave. I will redeem them from death. Again, this is directed to Ephraim, the northern kingdom. Through Yeshua, the power of death has been defeated on behalf of Israel, Hebrews 2:14-15. This is the ultimate fulfillment. Not just physical death, but the death of separation from Yahweh is now abolished for his people. Neither sorrow nor crying. The sorrow mentioned here is not ordinary emotional sadness. It's the sorrow of generational exile, of being without inheritance, land, or identity. Israel, having been scattered among the nations, lived under the pain of being forgotten and chastised. Lamentations 1:2-5. Now, with their Redeemer Yeshua having gathered them, there is no more lamentation, no more mourning for Zion. The time of weeping has ended. See Isaiah 61:2-3. Neither shall there be any more pain. This pain includes the physical, social, and spiritual suffering Israel endured while under the curses of the law, slavery, loss of children, famine, disease, and spiritual alienation. Deuteronomy 28:15-68. Now, in this renewed order, Yahweh has removed the rod of chastisement. Pain is no longer necessary. The people have been restored to obedience, purified through Yeshua, and now live under full covenant blessing. For the former things are passed away. The former things refer to the old world order where Israel was scattered, ruled by Gentiles, oppressed, and divorced. This includes the first heaven and earth, Revelation 21:1, the old spiritual and governmental structures, the curse of the law, Galatians 3:13, the estrangement from Yahweh. Now, under the new order established through Yeshua, these old realities are no more. This is not a metaphor for general peace. It is the climactic restoration of Israel and the end of their exile. Revelation 21:5, and he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. Line by line breakdown. And he that sat upon the throne said. The speaker here is Yahweh himself, seated on his throne, not as a distant creator, but as the reigning king of Israel. This is the throne of David, now fully inherited and occupied by Yeshua, Luke 1:32-33, who reigns on behalf of Yahweh, executing the divine will. This throne is not a new invention, but the eternal throne promised to David and his seed, a promise made only to Israel. 2 Samuel 7:12-16, Psalm 89:3-4. The throne has always been over the house of Jacob, and it remains so in this renewed order. Behold, I make all things new. This statement reflects a total transformation of the condition of Israel, spiritually, nationally, and physically. The Greek for new, kainos, means renewed in quality, not something entirely unfamiliar. This is not universal regeneration, but the fulfillment of promises made in passages like Isaiah 43:19-. Behold, I will do a new thing. I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. This newness involves a new covenant, Jeremiah 31:31, made only with the house of Israel and Judah, a new heart and spirit, Ezekiel 36:26, a new land inheritance, Ezekiel 47, a renewed nation now united, clean and holy, Isaiah 60, Ezekiel 37. All things new is Israel made whole again, no longer divided, defiled, or ruled over by the Gentiles. And he said unto me, Write. Yahweh commands John to record this vision, not for the entertainment of later religions, but as a testimony to the children of Israel, particularly those in dispersion. This was written to remind them of the promises that are exclusively theirs, even if hidden from them for a time. For these words are true and faithful. This final line seals the declaration with divine authority. True and faithful is covenant language, meaning these promises are unalterable, just as Yahweh's word to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This echoes 2 Samuel 7:28.
And now, O Lord Yahweh, thou art that God, and thy words be true, and thou hast promised this goodness unto thy servant.
In short, Yahweh is confirming that his promises to Israel have not failed, and this restored order, revealed through Yeshua, is not symbolic or spiritualized. It is real, physical, national, and eternal. Revelation 21:6, And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. line by line breakdown. And he said unto me, It is done. This is the divine proclamation that the restoration is complete. Everything foretold by the prophets concerning the regathering and renewal of Israel has now reached fulfillment. The long exile, the curses, the scattering, all has come to an end. This echoes Ezekiel 37:14. And shall put my spirit in you, and ye shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall ye know that I, Yahweh, have spoken it and performed it, saith Yahweh. It is done is the final seal of covenant promises coming to pass, not for all mankind, but for the descendants of Jacob, the covenant people. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Here, Yahweh declares his eternal sovereignty. Alpha and Omega are the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet, symbolizing that he is the origin and completion of all things. Applied in context, this means he began his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He brings that covenant to its perfect conclusion in the New Jerusalem, through Yeshua as the mediator of the new covenant, Hebrews 8:6. This is reassurance that his promises are unchangeable. He was with Israel at the beginning, and he will be with Israel in the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. This imagery is tied directly to Israel's restoration. The fountain of living waters is first spoken of in Jeremiah 2:13, where Yahweh says of Israel, They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns, that can hold no water. Now in the renewed order he offers Israel what they had once rejected, the pure water of life. This water represents eternal covenant life, righteousness, and direct fellowship with Yahweh. See John 4:14, John 7:38. It is given freely, meaning not earned through temple sacrifices, rituals, or works of the law, but through grace extended in Yeshua, who declared in John 10:11, I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. Thus the fountain of life is exclusive to Israel, but it flows without price to those who hunger and thirst for righteousness within the covenant nation.